In this video, we're diving into Git integration and branch management in CODESYS. This can be a great tool for multi-user development environments, as well as keeping track of changes and adding features to a CODESYS PLC project. We'll cover creating a branch in GitLab, cloning that repository into a CODESYS project, merging changes, as well as handling conflicts within structured text. Let's get started. In this example, I've already created a GitLab repository and connected it to a CODESYS project. This video will demonstrate one way to manage branches and multi-user development within CODESYS. The first thing I'll do is create a new branch in GitLab. This will be the branch that will contain my new feature, so it's good practice to give it an appropriate name. This will also help when I look back at the changes that I've merged into the main branch. So in this case, I'll call it branch feature B. Now I'll click create branch, and this will copy the main branch into a new branch called branch feature B. Essentially, all I'm doing here is creating a copy of the PLC program so I can make my changes and add my new feature. Now in GitLab, I can see that I have main and branch feature B. Now that I've created this branch in GitLab, I want to open that branch in CODESYS. There are a couple of different ways to do this, but I'll show you how you can clone this branch from the GitLab remote repository. In CODESYS, I'll go to the Git tab and select Clone Repository. I'll then need to enter the URL of the repository that can be found here. All I need to do is copy this URL and paste it into the URL box in CODESYS. Next, I'll set the location of the Git repository to live locally on my computer. To keep things organized, I'll create a new folder where the project and Git repository will be saved. After I click OK, I'll need to put in my GitLab credentials as well here. After clicking Login, it'll take a minute to pull in my remote repository. After it's finished loading, I can tell my project's under Git control by the green icons next to each item in the device tree. As good practice, in order to get this branch into a working state and make sure that I have the latest copies from the main, I'll go to Git and then Branches, and you can see that right now I'm set to track the remote main branch. What I can do is do a poll here just to pull in any changes that may have been missed since the last time I opened this. At this point, if I had any changes I needed to address, it would show up under the Git tab under Status and Staging. I'll address this later on in the video. Now that I know that I have the latest copy from main, I'm going to change the tracking branch for my copy. So I'll click Tracking Branch and select Branch Feature B. This way, all of my development can be pushed to the Branch Feature B in the GitLab repository. At this point, I'm ready to start making changes to my program. So in this case, for an example, I'll add a new global variable list called GVL Feature B. Here I'm just copying something I have in Feature A so I can create a new Word variable that I can edit in my PLC program. Next, I'll add some logic changes that I want to make for feature B. I'm going to keep it simple and just copy something that I already have here, but change the variables to feature B just so I increment a Word variable up by 1. With my changes done, I can go to the Git tab and then Status and Staging, see the changes that I made. These will initially show up in the unstaged area, and you can see the blue icon denoting that I have a new item and an orange icon denoting that I modified one of the existing items in the project. Now I can select the checkbox next to each one of the changes I want to commit. I'll click the plus button to move them into the staged area, and if there were any changes I did not want to commit to the repository, I would leave them in the unstaged area. By selecting these now in the staged area and clicking commit, I can add a comment about what might be part of this commit, so that it'll show up in the history of the Git repository. You'll also notice that all the items in my device tree are now green because the repository has been updated. Now that feature B is complete, I also want to show how another user might be able to developing feature C while I've been working on feature B. This could be used to develop a separate feature totally, or just to show where another user who is working on the program concurrently. In this case, let's create the scenario where another user created feature C and has already merged it with the main branch. As a preparation to finalize my new logic to be added to main, I need to pull main into feature B. This will capture any updates that I've been committed to main while I've been working on feature B. To do this, set the tracking branch to main and perform a pull. This will check each object in my device tree and compare it to the main branch. It'll pull in any additions that have been made or catch any changes that need to be resolved. After the pull is complete, I'll go back to Status and Staging, and I can see my program now has a new GVL for feature C and a conflict within PLC PRG. Now I can click on my conflict and resolve this manually. This will show a side-by-side view of my branch and what is in the main branch. One of the nice features with structured text is that I can open a third editor to manually enter the changes as I see fit. After clicking on the button to toggle the third editor, I can make sure I retain the changes of feature C that came in with the main branch, as well as the changes that I've made for feature B. Another nice feature is that additions will show up in green, deletions will show up in blue, and changes will show up in red. In this case, I'm just copying the one line that was added for feature C into my open editor window so that I have features A, B, and C now all in PLC PRG. Now with these changes and conflicts resolved, it'd be a great time for me to go back and do testing and any validation on the system that I need to do before pushing this to my main copy of the program. After that testing's done, I'll come back to status and staging. I can select these changes and commit them to my local repository. I can also add any comments that I want so I can track this later in my notes. After committing my changes, I'll set the track branch back to feature B and push this to my GitLab remote repository. I recommend protecting the main branch in GitLab so that CODESYS can't directly push to the main. Now that I'm back in GitLab, I can refresh this page and I should see that there's been a push to feature B from my CODESYS project. At the top of the page, I can click the shortcut to create the merge request for branch feature B into main. With this process complete, I can feel confident that I've merged feature B into main and included updates that were in feature C. There could be a review process here based on your company, but for this example, I'll create a merge request and merge feature B right into the main. At this point, I've added my feature B updates to the main branch. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think of this video.